Hey, welcome to episode 149 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. If you're thinking, wow, 149 episodes, Jason must like to do this, you would be absolutely right. I love talking to people and getting the magic of the stories and the magic of what they do in life, because so often we forget our own gifts, our own brilliance, our own impact, and I say this before I bring on today's guest, because I first heard the story she tells a few weeks ago, and talk about an unexpected story. Talk about a story that has huge impact. Talk about a story that's impact is still rippling out and will ripple for years to come. But before I bring her on, back in a sec.
Today's guest, Katherine Vargas.
Welcome back. Usually I read a bio here at this point, but I just want to bring Catherine on. We have a lot to talk about, and I urge you to stay tuned, because the story is at once so inspiring, and so challenging and so inspiring. Life is amazing. Please help me welcome Katherine to our Godly Awesome Podcast.
Hi.
Hi,
Thank you for having
Katherine.
me on. This is very exciting.
Thanks so much for being here. So you have this just phenomenal, and we're going to get to that. But first, if we had known each other when we were 7 years old, and I had asked little Catherine, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? What would you have said?
Probably a therapist or a teacher.
What did you enjoy about those professions?
Helping people, just being around people and helping them and connecting with them, and just passing on wisdom and knowledge to another person.
Hmm. What's like one happy story from your childhood that you love to tell?
Oh gosh. It depends, because I come from a really, really big family. I'm extremely blessed.
How many siblings do you have?
So siblings, there's 3 of us, and I'm the youngest. My family is a type of family, traditional Mexican family. Your cousins are like your brothers and sisters, and fortunately, we still have that, and my daughter has that too. So there's so many great memories, and a lot of them are at the park or camping in Baja. The camping trips were the best. So I would say probably the camping trips with our families and a caravan of people, and they're all my people. So.
And about how many people would go on these camping trips?
Ooh, 30
Like
to
50
40.
or what?
30 to 40.
Wow.
Kids running everywhere.
Oh.
And, usually by the beach or a body of water, and just enjoying ourselves.
I haven't been down to Baja yet. in my life, but it sounds like just this extraordinary place.
It is. It was. We've been there. We haven't been there in quite some time. After a while, they required passports and such, and it got a little difficult. And then everyone just kept growing. So it's been a while, but they definitely, those memories make me smile, and they stay true to my heart.
Awesome. In high school, did you still want to be a teacher or a therapist, or did?
I think by high school, I had my eye on therapy or social work, something in that nature. I still had my eye on that.
Wow. And then fast forward, how did you meet your husband?
So I met my husband. I was doing an event for Corazón de Vida, which is a nonprofit that supports orphans in TJ. And my grandma
and TJ is Tijuana for
Tijuana, yes. So I was going through a hard time, I was in a weird place, and my grandma reminded me, she goes, you love helping people. Why don't you just help people? And maybe that'll get you out of your funk. And I said, you're right.
Oh my gosh, what grandma wisdom is that? That's awesome.
Yeah. She's full of wisdom, and she knows me so well. So so I just decided to do a fundraiser for Corazón de Vida. And in doing that, I was searching for a photographer, and I happened to find one on an app. And he wasn't able to do it, but he did keep in contact with me via email. And shortly after the event, he asked me how it went. One email back and forth, turned into a text message, turned into, hey, let's meet up. And so we did. And that was it.
So when single people think about finding a significant other, it can seem so overwhelming. But you found your husband on an app.
Yes.
On your phone.
Yes.
And he couldn't even do your event, but you just kept in touch.
We kept in touch via email, and after email after email after email, we just exchanged numbers, and then it turned into let's meet real quick. And we I brought my friend, he brought his friend, and that was it. That was, my grandma said too, she said she was praying for me to find a good man. And I said, there's no way. I'm not going to find a man right now. This is not the time. Well, the joke was on me.
So speaking of your assumptions of not wanting to find a good man, did you grow up wanting to be a mom?
No, I was a young aunt. I was an aunt at the age of 10.
That's a very young aunt.
My sister is 9 years older than me, and she was a young mom. So she had my nephew, and I was, like I said, a whole 10 years old. And I said, this doesn't seem like it's for me. And then fast forward years later, she had my niece, and I was physically in the room when my niece was born, and I was 17, but my mom told the doctor I was 18. I was 17. And after watching my niece born, I said, no, this is definitely not for me. I'm not going down this route. That was horrible. And no one expected me, including myself, to be married or have kids. I was in relationships, but never got married. It was just, it sounded cute, but I just never went for it. And then I met my husband, and I think by the age of 29, all of a sudden my nieces were older. I took them to San Francisco, and I've been to San Francisco many times, but I remember how cool it was to see San Francisco from their eyes. So it was a completely different experience. And I go, I want that. That was kind of cool. I want that, teaching them, showing them, protecting them. It was just an auntie niece trip with my best friend Shanda. So yeah, it just kind of shifted everything. And I thought, maybe I could do it. And my boyfriend and I, now my husband, we just, it was just so instant. It was so instant. It went so quickly. We were engaged after 2 years, married legally 2 months later, moved in together 1 month after that. And then, so we got legally married in 2015. We had a big ceremony in 2016. And yeah, been together ever since.
So it was fairly clear to you and your boyfriend that it was you both just had clarity about getting married and wanting to do that.
Yes, and it took everyone by surprise when we actually got married, and then it took a lot of people by surprise when I was, we tried for 2 years to have our daughter Marina. And so it's funny seeing family from out of state when they would come in and see me being a mom. They're like, we still can't believe you're a mom. I was a party girl. I was, I lived in the Valley. I would go clubbing every weekend, and then I came back to Orange County. This is where I'm originally from, and everything just stopped. And then I met my husband, and then it was this whole transformation, and it was beautiful. It was great. I'm glad to have, both sides, both stories to tell.
What would you say to a young person watching who is in kind of the party phase of their life and really enjoying it, and they're just watching and going, oh man, that's okay for Catherine, but I'll never settle down. What would you say to them?
Gosh, obviously enjoy the moment. Enjoy all the time that you have, for sure. I want everyone to live life to the fullest and do what's best for them and their path. However, really don't, and this is me talking to myself in my 20s, do not underestimate the power of stability. Do not underestimate the power of healing, where you're not using people or things or substances to try to get do not underestimate growth.
Do not underestimate growth.
Don't underestimate it. Don't be, and it's very scary for people to grow up, because that means you have to do a lot of healing, and you have to look at yourself and change things, when the latter is easier. But I love being a mom. I love being a mom so much, and she has completely rocked my world. And part of me wishes that I would have done it sooner, but I just love it, and I do have cousins that are on the no kid, I don't want kids. I'm like, that's fine, but don't underestimate it, because they're amazing.
So what was it like after trying for 2 years and then finding out suddenly that you're pregnant?
Oh my gosh, it was unreal. It was so unreal. It took me, just like all the doctors say, it took me having to stop trying to get pregnant. So, eventually I was like, forget this, I'm going back. I hadn't finished my bachelor's yet. So I went to enroll for my bachelor's. I was in my first classes, and a week or two later, I found out I'm pregnant. I go,
your first one. And a week or two later.
So literally the week that she was born, I had finals. So I had her, got out of the hospital, and then my mother-in-law came over to watch her while I finished my finals. So
what? So often in life, we are like, with major things, we are like, either I can do this or I can do this, but you're like, I'm going to have a baby and I'm going to do finals too. Wow.
Yeah, I still had my goals, and my husband would, I would put her to sleep and he would help, and then I'd have finals. And then, she wanted to be with me often because we were nursing for the first year and a half. And so, she wanted me all the time. And so he would have to distract her while I would finish finals and everything. So it was a team effort. My sister, all of my family just chipped in to help.
So how far are you in college now?
Well, oddly enough, so I did finish my bachelor's.
You
And
did.
then I did finish my bachelor's when my daughter was just under a year. And then about a year and a half later, we were trying to have a baby and we could, like, just wasn't sticking. And then I went for my master's and
Your
I got pregnant
master's
again.
in what?
Healthcare administration.
Wow.
Yes, I've been in the healthcare field since I was about 18 or 19 years old. So I went for healthcare administration. And within that month, I found out I was pregnant because, again, we were trying. We stopped trying and we get pregnant. So unfortunately, I miscarried that child when I was only, I miscarried at 7 weeks, but I didn't know until I was 9 weeks. So I don't know what gender it was. I call it Ruby because it was due in July. And then it was interesting because that experience it made me stop everything. I was going for my master's. I was going to try to be a notary. Had all these plans that year. And after that miscarriage, it's kind of weird. I think because so many people, so many women didn't talk about miscarriage, or so many people speak about early pregnancy and fetuses almost like it's non-existent or not important. I was kind of surprised that it hurt so much. I was so surprised. I'm like, wow, I wasn't even that far along, but it broke me. It broke me. And I had to go to therapy. I had to go back to in-person church because this was during COVID. And I knew I needed to get it together, not just for myself, but for my daughter and my husband. I knew I had to get it together, but I had to surrender. I had to stop. So I stopped my master's program. I stopped chasing the notary dream. And I just surrendered. I was like, all right, God, what are you trying to tell me right now? Because this hurts. Like, make it stop hurting.
What would you say to a woman who has miscarried recently and feels all alone with the pain?
Oh man, find a community. Find any community. There's so many groups out there. You just have to Google and Facebook search and Instagram search. I'm glad that more women are talking about it. And unfortunately, infertility and fertility issues are on the rise. I was just talking to my sister-in-law about this. I'm not sure if it's from the food that we're eating, the stress that we're putting on ourselves, combination of all of the above. But again, have that support system. I come from a not completely traditional Mexican family for sure, but there are some traditions in there and cultures where you don't talk about it. You don't cry. You don't, you got to sweep it under the rug. Like, be strong, be strong, be strong. And I was like, no. And I was crying often. And I went to therapy. And my daughter at that time was about 1.5. And, or was she? No, she's going on to 2. And I remember that she saw mommy having big feelings. Obviously, everyone that knows about the terrible 2s and 3s and, calms down around 4 and 5, she was having big emotions. So I would tell her, I'm like, okay, you're having big feelings. Like, let's talk about it. So then she saw mommy having big feelings. And one time, she saw me, she was like, Mom, it's okay. And she prayed over me and she gave me a big hug and a kiss. And I'm like, like, it was so important for me to show her that I'm a human, and that was that moment. But and that was that year for sure.
Two questions from there. So another question: What would you tell men who are significant others? who are family or friends what a miscarriage is like for a mom?
For men, it's obviously very different. They don't have that feeling, the emotions, the hormones that we're having. Um, it it was a hard time for us. And my husband, when I was miscarrying, he had my daughter, and my daughter wanted to be on top of me, and so he was like trying to pull her to her room, and so he had to comfort her while I was in the restroom having a miscarriage, and it was extremely chaotic. And it wasn't until later, because we had just moved into our new house like 4 or 5 months prior. And, we know our neighbors, but we don't know our neighbors, And it wasn't until later that I told my neighbors, hey, yeah, we had a miscarriage, because they knew I was pregnant. And it was so great to hear. You could have called us. We would have come taken Marina. We would have come been there for you. And I'm like, man, I'm the one that's stopping me from people coming to me. I'm the one that's stopping people from building a community with me because of my pride, because of my not my pride, but my secrecy. Like I gotta be strong. No one can see me cry, So after that, like I said, I told my husband we need to go back into in-person church. I need community. And I was very open with the fact that I was hurt and broken at that time, and then it invited community, invited women to tell me their stories. And for men, check in on other men. Like, just dads don't do that. Moms do. Dads don't do that. But ask them, like, hey, you guys just lost a child. Like, how are you doing? Are you okay? Like, you want to go play ball, go to a bar or something? Like, everyone should just be checking in on each other is my feeling about that. And I think, yeah, if you have a miscarriage, be open about it. Say, I'm not okay. Don't fake that. I'm fine. I'm getting through it. Like, what do you need? You need us to take your kids out for a little bit so you can take a breather, gift certificate for a massage, a cry, something. What do you need?
How do you think we get the courage to share big feelings with each other and what's going on? What's truly going on with you? How do we get the courage to share that stuff with each other?
Well, that's why I said don't underestimate growth, because that's a huge part of growth is vulnerability. And I had to learn that. I'm still learning that. I did it because I needed to be okay for my daughter. Marina is such a light in my life, and it's not fair to her to see a broken mommy. So I wanted to not be fixed, but heal for both of us. So she was my inspiration. But I think there's a lot of broken people out there. And if they would take that one step to say, this is the problem, help me fix it. Find the resources, find the support. You'll see a huge improvement. You'll see there's a lot of good people out there trying to help you.
But there's such powerful reminders that we're all in this together, and then there's people who want to help, people who are kind, but they're not mind readers. We need, if we want the help, we need to let them know and find them.
Right. Absolutely.
Also, what's the importance of allowing kids to see that adults have big feelings? Do you think?
It's gonna help her feel more comfortable. Help her be more secure in herself, so she doesn't feel like she's a weirdo or anything. Like, why doesn't mom cry? Why is mama, stone cold? Like, it's not. I like that more and more people are talking about this than before. yeah, I just want her to know that it's okay if she's having big feelings. You know, I want her to know that not only is it okay, but mommy and daddy are here, you know, or whomever in our family. We're all here for her. She can have big feelings and she can express it and she can work through it with us. She doesn't have to do it alone.
Powerful, powerful. So then, when did you get pregnant with Grace?
So just a few short months. So I miscarried Ruby December of 2020. And then by April, I was pregnant with Grace. And part of my healing journey from my miscarriage was to get back into shape, get back into working out and such. And, you know, I wanted to feel better. So my friend has this online women's group called Grit and Grace. And so I did so well at that time that I ended up pregnant again. So I thought in the cheeky manner, oh, if I get pregnant again, I'm going to name the baby Grace. We didn't even know when we were going to get pregnant or if it was going to be a girl or what.
I
Well,
had heard that before. So Grace's name came from
so
Grit and
Grace's
Grace.
name came from that group called Grit and Grace. And so it was pretty funny. So I already had it just in my mind, just like I said, to just be cheeky, just to be funny. And then what happened was her name just transformed into like her story. It was incredible because that was the reason I wanted to name her that. And my husband's like, no, you got to name Marina. Like I get to name this one. And you know, so it was kind of funny because again, we didn't even know if it was a girl or not. I guess I kind of knew. So then we get pregnant and we go to an ultrasound. By this time, I am already over 35, so I have to have extra testing done because I'm a geriatric, that's what they call us, geriatric maternity patient. And
that's not a great term.
It's not. It's really not.
What the heck?
That's what they call us, geriatric high-risk pregnancy.
Oh. Well.
You just sprinkle all the salt in the wound.
Well, so, they may want to think about new terminology there.
Yeah. They really should. So I go in for my appointment and they do the ultrasound and I hear the heartbeat. And my husband was supposed to be there, but they moved my appointment earlier. He worked too far and I said, I'm just going to go, you know? And so I went and I said, I'll just, you know, call you at the appointment and we'll just, you know, WhatsApp or something. He's like, okay. So I rushed over there because I was so excited. And then I heard the heartbeat. I heard her heartbeat and I just had tears coming down because, you know, I didn't hear the heartbeat from Ruby. I was excited and I was sitting there and I was wondering why they had so many different machines and ultrasound techs. And it was because they didn't find Ruby's heart. So when I heard Grace's heart, anything the nurse said just went over my head because I was just so excited, just tears of joy coming down hearing her heartbeat. So the nurse, you know, she took the ultrasound scans and then she went and got the doctor and the doctor's like, all right, well, what did he say? He goes, I have some concerns. And then once he said that, my whole world got dizzy. I was just, the whole room was moving. My heart dropped. I was like, wait, what concerns? And there was fluid in the back of her neck that he could see on the ultrasound. And he said, you know, don't worry. We're going to get through this. Like holding my hand. I was crying. I'm like, you don't understand. I just had a miscarriage. I can't hear bad news right now. Like, don't do this to me, you know? And he was afraid that it was a form of trisomy, but he wasn't sure. Trisomy, there's different forms of trisomy. He wasn't sure, but the fluid in the back of her neck needed to be tested. So he was giving me all these options and again, saying so much jargon. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, don't worry, take a deep breath. So I go to my car and I just lose my mind. And I just call my husband and I'm just sobbing. And he told me later, he goes, I was at work hearing you cry. He's like, and I thought the baby had already died. He's like, I thought like, that's it. And yeah, I was just hysterical. And I just sat in the parking lot crying. Well, one of my other best friends, Teresa, had a miscarriage, and then she had a baby with a genetic disorder. So she was in that situation where they're like, okay, we're going to do testing, and then you're going to choose if you want to continue or abort. They basically bullied her eventually by the 5th or 6th month to abort. And so when I told her what the doctor had said and, you know, genetic disorder, and now we got to get testing and this and this and that. And I told her, I said, I can't do this. And she was the first person. She goes, yes, you can. She goes, Kat, I regret aborting my daughter. She's like, I regret it every day, but I felt like I had no choice the way the doctors were telling me and bullying me and harassing me. She's inviolable. Like, you're not going to give her the quality of life. They just kept scaring her to the point where she's fine. So she had the abortion and she goes, I regret it every day of my life. And you can do this. And I said, I can't talk to you right now. So I hung up with her, called my mom crying, was rushing to my primary care physician to go get lab work done. And my mom too, she's like, you can do this. She's like, remember, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. You can do this. And again, I'm like, I can't talk to you. You guys don't know what I'm going through. I can't talk to any of you. You guys are crazy thinking that I'm going to be able to go through this. I go to the doctors, get testing done. And all the while, my mother-in-law was planning our gender reveal for that weekend. And we called her. We're like, there is no gender reveal going on today. They had to see a genetic doctor the next day. Like, that's how fast they worked. And they got our results and everything. And she said, you know, this is trisomy, trisomy 18. Here are your options for testing, or you could just abort. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go through the testing. So we did an amniocentesis where they put a needle in your stomach and they pull out fluid from the placenta to test, is it just in the placenta or does the baby have full trisomy? And so I was terrified, but we did it. It was extremely painful. This doctor was like, I had so many questions. I had people calling me like, oh, you know, go to this hospital. They, you know, the baby could be born and then they could take them to the children's hospital. And I had so many great people in my corner. It was just a lot of information at once because we're like, what is trisomy? And trisomy 18, Edwards syndrome, Down syndrome, this, that, the trisomy 21. It was so much information. And we were just feeling like we just got punched in the gut, and everyone's talking to us, trying to give us information, and I'm getting blood tests every week, and it was just so hectic. It was so chaotic, and I was just so sad. And then again, like I said, my daughter saw me break down a couple times, and she would come in and pray for me and pray for my big feelings, and I was like, what is happening? And yeah, eventually I was about 22 weeks pregnant. And that's how long it takes to get all the results. That's how long. It takes a really long time. It's weeks and you're just waiting. And they did confirm she has trisomy 18. She has a 50% chance of even living. She's
so you're almost 6 months at this point, right?
And that's when, like I said, and that's when they were still like, okay. I'm like, no, she's moving. I'm going to ultrasound. She's moving. Like, they just kept saying over and over again that she's inviolable. She's inviolable. She's inviolable. Like,
you said she waved at you at one point, right?
And right. So the day that we were supposed to decide yes or no, this is the last day. What are you going to do? Our whole church was praying for us. All of our family was praying for us, everything. And I will tell you the truth. I mean, this was a very heavy time because this was also during the Roe v. Wade situation. I had to get offline because people were referring to fetuses as like nothing, basically, and it hurt my soul. And I even put a post out. I said, hey, guys, those of us that have miscarried, those of us that are going through fertility issues, this is not our battle. I know it hurts. If anyone needs to talk, message me, because I knew I was hurt. Like, I'm like, no, a fetus is not just a ball of tissue. I'm sorry. Like, I'm hurting, and people are just, all over the spectrum. So it was a really, really heavy time. And my husband and I went to the beach where he proposed to me. And we're just sitting there, and he's like, babe, you know how I feel, but this is up to you. What do you want to do? And I didn't know. 100%. I wish I could tell you that I was like this perfect Christian that was like, oh yes, we've got this. Da-da-da. No, I was like, okay, well, I can't go through this. I just kept saying that over and over again. And everyone around me was telling me that I could, and I wasn't listening. And then we started researching, okay, what if she just has some disabilities? Maybe we'll look into that. We'll look into special schools and what's our medical cover and this and that. We were praying that was the case. And so it was really a lot. So the day that we had to go in there to decide, the doctor's like, all right, that's it. Like, what are you guys going to do? And he left the room to give us a minute to think about it. The ultrasound tech said, do you want to see her one more time before you decide? And we're like, yeah. So the ultrasound tech, turned on the machine and everything. And she waved at us. This doctor's telling us she has this, that. She's inviolable. Da, da, da. He leaves the room, and she just starts waving. And my husband and I and the ultrasound tech were looking at each other. We're like, is everybody seeing this right now? And at that point, I was like, I can't do this to her. I can't. I was like, at that point, I had it in me. I'm like, oh, I'm going to meet her. I know you guys say it's impossible, but mommy wants to meet her. Mommy wants to bring her home. And so we went into the room with the doctor, and we're like, I just asked him a few more questions. Like, what if we have her at this hospital that has a children's unit and a, NICU for special needs? And he threw his hands in our face and said, nothing you do is going to work. But if you want, I think you should go to this hospital instead. And it's miles away from our house. Miles. It's way more convenient to go to the hospital we were originally going to go to. That's very famous with an ocean view. He's sending us, to Long Beach. And I'm thinking, what? And my husband and I were so upset. And we're like, all right, forget it then. I guess we're going to go. And I called and I made an appointment. And we drove to Long Beach. And turns out that was the best thing he could have done, was to refer us to them.
So what was this new hospital like?
So our appointments before were just like regular patient appointments, about 15 minutes or so. This new hospital, our first appointment was 2 hours. Every appointment we had with them was about 1 to 2 hours. So not only did they have a specialty team for us to check her ultrasound, check her heart, the cardiologist, who I happen to know from a previous job, was amazing. They also had us go to the perinatal where we were going to deliver her. They had a team with a chaplain. They had a psychologist. They had everything. They're like, what would you guys like when you give birth to her? What do you want? What do you want your experience to be like? They treated us like VIP. They treated us like VIP, and it was incredible. Like, they created a plan for us. They wanted to make sure everything was perfect.
So you felt a lot of kindness in this hospital.
Oh gosh, they were amazing. I still keep in touch with our perinatal nurse. So
then what were the chances of Grace surviving to natural birth?
50%.
50% that she could be born.
Yes. And a lot of trisomy parents, they'll miscarry at any time, but it's not uncommon for, not only that, it's not uncommon to have stillborns. So you really don't know. Are you going to miscarry? Are you going to have a baby? Is it going to be a stillborn? Is it going to live for minutes, seconds, hours, days? You really don't know.
But you have this picture.
Yes. So
sorry. In this picture of your family.
Yes. So what was crazy is when I was 6 months, I was obviously already showing. So whoever didn't know that I was pregnant, I had to let them know, hey, you're not going to be invited to a baby shower. So what we did instead was we had an online virtual baby shower for Horizon Pregnancy Clinic in Huntington Beach. We said, I posted something on Facebook and I said, yes, I'm pregnant. Obviously, a lot of you have seen that I am. No, we're not having a baby shower, and this is why. And so I got to say, we're having a daughter with a genetic disorder. We've decided to continue pregnancy. We don't know if she's going to miscarry or if she's even going to live. That's why we're not doing it. However, I did it around my birthday that year. I said, for my birthday, I would love to do this baby registry. So the Amazon baby registry was to Grace Vargas, and the address was for Horizon Pregnancy Clinic. And it's everything that they would have needed. I called them and I said, what do you guys need? And they said, well, we have tons of moms that come in here for free diapers, wipes, clothes, anything. So they gave us a list of what they needed. I created the baby registry. I announced her. And in about 1 month, they received 60 packages from our friends and family addressed to Grace Vargas. And
so before Grace is even born, she is contributing to the community.
Yes, her legacy was already starting. She was already making quite an impact. And it's beautiful because, especially like I said, at that time, the political climate was very high. We are Christian and lean more conservatively. However, our inner circle is extremely colorful. We hang out and talk to and love on everybody. Like our inner circle, my best friend is a liberal atheist, love her to death. She was in my wedding, and she was at the church, and she goes, I'm only here for you. I said, I know. But no matter what everyone's background was or thoughts or, everyone came together to support us, to be there for us. They donated, they contributed on behalf of Grace. Everyone just kind of put their political swords down and opinions and thoughts and just came together to be there for us and support us in any way they could. And it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And so when we went to go have a scheduled C-section for Grace, we weren't prepared. We didn't have anything.
You what?
We weren't prepared. We didn't have anything because we didn't know. I did buy her a preemie outfit on Etsy because even if she wasn't going to survive, even if she wasn't going to be a stillborn, I wanted her to have her pretty dress. So I got her a pretty dress with pearls that were given to us by the String of Pearls Foundation, who gave us resources and help. They were wonderful. And again, these are all resources that I had to go out and find on my own, to Google the Trisomy Foundation, the String of Pearls Foundation, and Horizon was wonderful because they were so appreciative. They invited us to have a private ultrasound for Marina to meet her sister in my belly. So we have a picture with our family in an ultrasound room, and Marina's holding the transducer, and she's just looking at the screen confused. But they're like, there's your sister, you know, and they look identical. They're so like both of their ultrasound pictures look identical. It's crazy. So that was their way of saying thank you to us for that. And then, like I said, we had a huge village. We were getting closer to her due date. And I remember the week that she was due, we scheduled a C-section. I was trembling. I was having so much anxiety. And my daughter was reading her children's Bible, or she brought it out for me to read to her. And she likes to start from the beginning. So I don't know how many times we've read about Adam and Eve and the sneaky snake. But that day, for some reason, she just randomly opened a portion of the book, and they were talking about when Jesus was walking on the water in the middle of the storm. And I read that to her, and I just started crying. I was like, oh, you want me to relax? Okay. And, you know, the disciples were freaked out because they're in the middle of a storm. And here comes Jesus walking on water, and he tells one of his disciples, he's like, here, come here. He's like, I'm not going out there, you know? And God is telling him, like, you don't trust me? You don't trust that I'm going to get you through this storm, basically. And I felt like God was telling me, like, I'm going to get you through this storm. Calm down. And so that was a Sunday night that I read that to her, and I was having grace that Friday. And the rest of the week, I was just at peace. Like, all right, God, you got this. I'm going to walk out to you. I'm already here. I'm already here. I might as well. So I got out of the boat and I walked towards him. And our whole tribe was ready. She was going to stay with my mother-in-law, with my brother-in-law, with my sister. Everybody had a schedule, a plan, everything for Marina. We all had a plan. And then I had my scheduled C-section, and she was born. And I'm laying there because, you know, it's a C-section, and my husband rushes to her side, and she was purple, so that freaked us out for a little bit. But I remember hearing the sound of a kitten, like a high-pitched sound of a kitten, and I was sitting there. I go, did I just give birth to a cat? And I'm like, nope, that's her. Like, she's crying. And he lays her on my chest, and I just have tears coming down. And he has a picture of her on my chest, and I have my little hat on. I just have tears coming down, and she just sounds like this little kitten. And now I don't cry when I hear babies cry. I cry when I hear kittens. Because she came out 3 pounds. She was this tiny little thing. And our plan was, which is another hard decision with trisomy families, is, do you want medical intervention or do you not? Do you want her to go into the NICU or do you not? Which is 100% a personal choice for the family. And we said, no NICU. We want her with us. Whenever she decides to go, I want her with me, not in a scary little NICU box by herself. So she never left our side. And they took us into our room. And all the nurses were in awe because in labor and delivery, they don't see 3-pound babies. You see that in NICU, not labor and delivery. So all the labor and delivery staff was just in awe. Like, can we see the 3-pound baby? Can we see the little miracle? And again,
can I show the viewers a picture of her?
Yes, please do. My beauty. So that's Marina, my husband and I. And there she is. There's my little miracle. So the first doctor said that she was going to have clubbed feet. Her feet were not in any other direction. She did have her hands like this, which was really cute because her fingers, when she would put them together, would make the shape of a heart. She had that ear condition that, you know, we were going to have to look at in the future had she survived. But she was just perfect. She's perfect and strong, and everything they said that she wouldn't be able to do. I mean, she tried latching. She did a couple times. We were able to express feed her, where I would pump and then my husband would put it in a syringe and feed her. Like, she was eating She was crying, she was cooing, she was smiling, just like a normal baby. And that hospital was amazing because my daughter Marina got to come, and they had a music therapist there. They had a photographer. They allowed all of our family for 4 days. We just had a rotating door of family there. Anyone that said that they were there to see Grace Vargas, they allowed up, because again, we didn't know if we had minutes, hours, seconds, what. And it was beautiful because we had family, it's a hard decision. We had to ask everyone, like, hey, we don't know what's going to happen, but do you want to come to the hospital? And a lot of people were very open, and they said, I cannot meet a baby that's going to die. We're like, okay, fair enough. It's up to you. And so some people did surprise us, and they showed up. And some people tried to hide their feelings until they couldn't. And there was a lot of tears in that room. There was a lot of tissues and a lot of unknowns and a lot of prayers and a lot of praise. But so much love around the clock. And I was exhausted, but seeing my family and friends and church come pray over her was beautiful. And Marina, there she is, happy sister.
Oh, but then in this picture, there's like a couch. It doesn't look like a hospital.
No, so she was at the hospital for 4 days. The doctor came in and said, I don't even know how to explain this, but you can take her home. But we're going to take her home with the triage team. We said, okay. So we took her home. She lived for 18 days. And later I thought about it, and I moved out at 18 against my parents' wishes. And so she moved out at 18 against our wishes too, just like my daughter would. She celebrated Christmas with us. And then on December 28th is when she decided, okay, I'm going home now. Like, I'm going to go be with God now. And we're fortunate to even have met her. We were fortunate to grow with her. My husband and I were in marriage counseling during that time to try to prepare as much as possible. And the therapist said that was a really smart idea, because marriages don't even last after a miscarriage. You're going through a lot, obviously. It's a life-changing thing. And so I said we should probably do it. And not only that, it helped us grow as parents. Like, that was it. Marina was so crucial in this, because we couldn't break. We had to stay strong for her as much as possible and make this a positive experience. So from the get, we told her, you are going to be a big sister, but your sister is going to be a princess in the kingdom of heaven. And we didn't know that she was going to meet her. And Marina obviously fell in love. Obviously. She was smaller than her dolls. She got to hold her. She got to help me change her. She got to help with her bath. So we had to make it a positive experience as much as possible. And to this day, Marina's very proud of her sister. She tells everybody, well, my sister's with Jesus. My sister is a princess in the kingdom of heaven, It took a couple weeks though, because when Grace passed, what happened was my husband was in the garage. He was trying to insulate it, because we don't really have heaters in our house. So he was insulating the garage. I was with the girls in the living room. My mom had just picked up Marina. She's like, she probably has cabin fever. Let me take her to my house for a little bit. And I said, okay. So it was just Grace and I hanging out, watching TV. And then when my husband came out of the garage and Marina was already gone, I said, can you hold Grace for a little bit? I'm going to grab some tea. And he said, yeah, sure. And everything went really fast and really slow at the same time, because he held her and he realized that her temperature dropped. And he started panicking. And so I called our triage nurse, and the triage nurse said, oh, her condition is advancing. At that time, I didn't know what that meant. I mean, I've been in the medical field for so long, but you forget everything when you're the patient. And I was like, well, she has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Should I mention that to them? And she went quickly. So my husband had me call 911, and he's trying to resuscitate her. And it was like, there's that fight or flight mode. He was fighting and I flew. I was like, I'm going to go get the neighbor who was an EMT. And by the time I walked outside, the police and the fire department was there. And they went to go resuscitate her and take her to the ambulance. And I didn't want them to, because it had dawned on me and go, oh, she's ready to go. She had already spent her time with sister, spent her time with mom. She just wanted to say bye to dad. So to me, she passed away in my husband's arms like she wanted to. So by the time he was trying to resuscitate her, there was nothing to resuscitate. She was already gone. She just wanted her daddy. That was her. That was obviously we're all her people, but her daddy was her person. She slept on his chest because I'm the light sleeper. I'm sorry, he's the light sleeper. I'm the heavy sleeper. So I was too scared to have a 3-pound baby on me. So she slept on his chest every night. So they got that bond. Marina and I had that bond because I nursed her for 1.5 years. So she didn't even know she had a daddy. But him and Grace had that bond because he fed her. She slept on him. And I felt like that's what she did. She waited for daddy, passed away in his arms. The whole night was a little chaotic because we had to go to the hospital. We had to wait for the coroner's office. And it was just crazy. It was just so weird. And I remember just holding her, thanking her. Just thanking her for humbling me, for teaching me, for challenging me to be a better person, for bringing out the beauty in everyone around us. We had some really hard conversations, but it definitely strengthened a lot of relationships. There was a lot of people that stepped in, but there was a lot of people that stepped out too. And it kind of like, I don't know, it brought out a lot of hard conversations about relationships in our family, and a lot of forgiveness, a lot of so much that we needed to work on, and we need to continue to work on. But had she not been so strong, so adamant, like at our ultrasounds, wiggling and waving and just, I'm here, guys. This is what I'm going to do, I don't know. She just taught us so much. As she continues to teach us so much.
You became a notary.
Yes, I did. I did not go back for my master's, but I did become a notary a few months after she was born. I went back and I became a volunteer with Horizon Pregnancy Clinic, which was, even the director and the manager said, "Are you sure you're ready for that?" And I said, "Yeah." If I wouldn't have been able to go through that had I not had a tribe, a whole village of support. And I feel like if I want to be, hi, darling, can you give me a minute?
What are you doing in my room?
I'm talking to somebody.
Well, what are you doing in my room?
I'm talking to somebody. Are you going to be shy, or do you want to say hi?
Well, why are you not talking into your work?
Hey. I'm going to be out of your room in just a minute, okay?
Well, if you just tell me the truth, then I'll let you.
Okay, let me tell you the truth. I am telling this gentleman, his name is Jason, I'm telling him Grace's story. See, like mommy has tears.
Why do you have tears?
Well, because I talk about her and I miss her. Thank you, Mom. So can I keep talking to him in your room? Yeah? Okay. And then when I'm done with this, I'll get you a treat, okay? Sorry about that.
Oh, perfect.
Hi. Oh, is this what we're doing? Thank you. So I started volunteering because this is what being a mom is like.
Oh.
Princess mommy.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. Can I wrap this up and then I'll go hang out with you? Sure. I will set it up for you.
So thanks so much for thank you you both.
She's very much
what a profound story of how community can come together and the impact
Hi.
And the impact Grace had. What a profound story.
So, like I was saying, is that having when I decided to become a volunteer, I decided to become a volunteer because I wanted other moms to have the support that I did, and I figured I needed to practice what I preach. So I volunteer once a week with them, but I still needed more healing, and I had to,
Where's ABC Matters?
It's right here. So I just I decided to. I had read a book about energy, and something that came out from that was talking about what depletes your energy. Go ahead and take that to the living room, honey. What depletes your energy and what gives you energy. And what gives me energy is being around people. I'm very much a people person. And so I remembered that I wanted to be a notary, and I figured, well, if I'm a notary, then I would be networking more and going, to meet new people. And so that's when I started my notary and networking business. And it was extremely healing because working at home for 3 years during COVID and not having that people, contact anymore really started sucking out my soul. So it was really great starting my business, and it's been really great. People see the passion that I have, and they don't realize that I'm not doing this just for the money. Yeah, the money's also necessary, especially in Southern California, but I'm also doing this as therapy, to get out of the house, to meet people, learn their stories. Sometimes I'll tell them Grace's story depending on the situation, but not off the bat. That's too much of an introduction. But yeah, I mean, people see the passion that I have. I do a lot of community events. I did a dog rescue event in January, which was great because I love dogs. I love dogs, and I can't have them all. We can only have this one right now. But in order to introduce myself to the community, I did a dog rescue event because I can't have them, but I could try to save them. And so they knew me as the notary that did the dog rescue event. This is Lego. I'm doing one for this group called Moms in Orange County. That, again, it's another group that helps mothers with free items. So I'll be doing that one soon. And just whatever brings joy to my heart, whatever brings me energy is what I lean towards, because it's my business. Why not? And that's the motto that I go in with, and people get to know me genuinely, know my heart, know that I care about the community. And then the business just comes. Business has been really good, and I'm blessed. And then in turn, I get to bless others, which is the whole point, I think.
That's powerful. So there's so many different varieties of last question. There's so many different varieties of challenges people have in life. What would you tell someone who's going through a significant challenge right now?
Embrace it. Seek resources, tackle it. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't don't give up. Just don't give up. Don't give in to what's easier. Tackle what's harder and come out the other side stronger.
Thank you so much, Katherine, and thank your family, and thank Grace, and thank you.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
Wow. I'm speechless, but I'm saying words, so I guess speechless isn't the right term. I just adjusted my glasses too, but none of us are alone on this complex, challenging journey of life. There's people around us who are who are navigating challenges. Like if you saw Catherine and her daughter in a story, you would just think, oh, that is brilliant mom and kiddo. You wouldn't know any of this powerful stories. So I urge you and I urge me to be open to other people's stories, ask curious questions, and then also be open to your own story and be open to really, like Catherine said so eloquently. She said a lot of things eloquently, but one of them is really like embrace your challenge. You go through hard stuff, and there's also opportunities. There's also resources. There's also a pathway through. Thanks so much for tuning into our Godly Awesome podcast. And tune in next week for another episode. Have a good day or evening or morning whenever you're watching this. Thanks.